Greetings to the people of Peoria, Arizona. My name's Thomas Sayre from the great state of North Carolina. I was in your midst November 27th, 2012, had a nice conversation with the selection committee, and I'm now back via this very short video. My proposal for Pioneer Park comes from the place, both physically the place and its history. There are two very different scales that I believe this art must operate on. One is the large scale of the size of the park and looking into the park from mostly 83rd Avenue, but to some extent Olive Avenue. The other scale that this art must function on is the close scale of people using the park, walking around the pathways with their dogs perhaps, and getting close. It needs to function for both of those vantages. The theme, if you will, of this art comes from the history of really the valley, but also of this particular piece of land, and that is the wheels which have rolled across the desert and made the way of people in that very harsh environment. First there came wagons with a few people, and then came the heavier wheels of railroad, which in turn allowed the agriculture to happen, and all the wheels of irrigation and tractors and disc harrows, etc., which in turn, its success as an agricultural enterprise spawned the population, which brings us to Pioneer Park. With enough population and enough people that need to recreate, you've built this great park, which brings new wheels, the wheels of bicycles and inline skates and wagons for picnics. And so this piece is celebrating those wheels. The sculpture itself is two 20-foot Corten steel wheels, which look massive from certain perspectives and lacy and delicate from others. It's made up of a smaller 1/8-inch pieces of steel, especially the rim, which is a kind of a weaving, so that at times it looks solid and other times you can actually see through it and see light through it, see the sky that this will stick up into. There are two wheels. Engineering has been done to know that it meets your building codes and won't blow over in wind. We know that, and we can build this for your budget. But the two wheels also allow a classic sculptural phenomenon of there are two, and then as you move, they appear to rotate and they become foreshortened on themselves and become one very interesting composition against your beautiful blue sky. The site for this sculpture is, I'm leaving up to a collaboration between the artist and you the users, you the neighbors, you the parks department. These are three sites that have occurred to me actually during the construction of the park, but you're now using the park and you may have other suggestions that have greater benefit. One site, for example, is this one on the west end, of the pond, coming up 83rd. You can see in the slide what it looks like from about here, or walking along the path itself, you're much closer, a very different experience. Another example is on the east end of the pond, where you actually come down the sidewalk and two wheels bracket the pathway, which creates a kind of threshold or a gateway, if you will, which is a very different experience. A third site is more near the entrance, visible from the entrance. You drive in and park around, and once you park, then you walk to wherever you're going. So this becomes a kind of central circulation spot, which as you go around that spot, the sculpture is constantly changing. So after this very brief summary of my proposal, I'd like to leave you with the thought that the real hope and dream of this piece is to add to the recreation, which is now occurring on Pioneer Park, an artistic whiff that talks about this land, which the park exists on, that the Robertsons settled, and the wheels that have marched across your wonderful valley. I hope that this adds to the experience of being at the park. Thank you for having me back in Peoria.